I want to start today differently. I'm not going to talk about what's wrong or what's missing. I want to talk about something that's already there. Because here's what I know about you. You are already exceptional at what you do, and you're making real time decisions that move your organization every single day. So the capability is there, the vision is there, and the question was never whether could you do this. The question is whether you are leading at the level you are actually becoming or you already are. So let's talk about this. My name is Tami. I'm an executive leadership strategist and advisor, and this is a Leader's Purpose podcast. This show exists for one reason. If you are a leader who is making the calls that matter every single day, this is for you. You're carrying more than you need to. And most of what you've been handed about leadership does not fit where you're trying to go. You already have what it takes. And so this is where you get to remember that. Before we jump in, I want to tell you about something I created, especially with you in mind. It's a private audio series called The Invisible Weight. It's 6 episodes. Each of them are less than 10 minutes. And so there's not a lot of fluff in there. It's just a real conversation about why leadership feels harder than it should at your level. And if that sounds like something that you need to hear after the show, the link is in the show notes and you can go check it out. But until then, I wanted to tell you about a moment that really changed how I understood authority. I was a flight commander in the Air Force, and as a flight commander, it's kind of like a, a section lead. It's bigger than that. I would say it's more like a division or a department lead. And I wasn't the highest ranking person on base. I wasn't even the highest ranking person in my squadron. However, I knew my equipment, my team, and my piece of the mission better than anyone else. And each week I had to go to a stand up, a briefing where I was not the highest ranking in the room. It actually wasn't even close. There was times that I was probably the second or third lowest ranking in the room. And so everyone there had a mission to play. And so they were higher ranking than me, but they didn't know my part of the mission more than me. And there's lots of them actually, moments that I had to say no to a general. Not because I outranked him, because I clearly did not, but because the mission required me to own my role completely. He didn't love it, and he made that known. But the mission needed me to show up as the authority I already was and not shrink because of who else was in the room. And that's not arrogance, that's alignment. The rank in the room was his, but the authority in that moment was mine. And I had to own that, or the mission would have paid for it. The overall mission of the entire base at that point. And so here's what I want you to hear. You have spent years building your expertise, the credibility, the track record that got you here, that earned you the spot at this table. And somewhere along the way, you started waiting for permission to fully use it. And I don't even think that you started waiting for permission is the right terminology here, because it's not like we're sitting and just being like, oh, I can't wait till someone calls on me. However, as you start to rise in ranks, as you start to increase your positions, there's more pressure on you to make these decisions. And also there's more people that are affected by your decision. And so a lot of times you were sitting in these rooms where you already knew the answer, but you waited to see which way the wind blows before you speak. You waited to see what other people wanted to hear or what they needed to hear in the moment. So you soften your position before anyone pushes back. And you don't do this out of weakness. You do this because you want collaboration. You want consensus. You want a team that is cohesive. But I want to say this with so much love that when you step into these moments, you've been leading at 80% of who you actually are, and the calling it professional, calling it teamwork, calling it leadership. And I want you to notice this week. I want you to notice the moments where you already know the answer, where the answer is clear and you hesitate anyway, not because you're wrong, but because you're waiting for something. And I want you to just notice, what are you waiting for? Because here's the thing, you didn't build this career to be in every single meeting. Lord knows we don't need another meeting that could have been an email, right? And you did not earn this role to spend days re-explaining the vision over and over, or trying to woo people, win others over to the vision. Or you don't even want to sit and review decisions that should have never made it to your desk in the first place. And there's a version of your leadership where your team executes without you holding their hand every step. Where decisions that you make hold the first time. And where your calendar has room for the work that only you can do. That's your secret sauce, that's the genius that got you to this position in the first place. It's what only you can bring to the table. And that's not some distance goal. That is something that happens when you are operating finally, when how you're operating finally matches who you are. The level of leadership. That's when your leadership operating system is upgrades, just like our cell phone needs an upgrade. You're not trying to become something new. You're trying to stop operating below what you already are. You get to live into the position that you've earned. And so I want to paint a picture here of where this goes, because I think you need to hear it. When you stop waiting for the room to validate you before you speak, and again, or validate the idea, or come across as needing, because collaboration is great, teamwork 100%. And there's times that as the leader, you need to make the decision first and then let them collaborate on how it's going to be run. But you can stop waiting for this validation before you speak and everyone to be on board. You can walk in the room already decided, and honestly, the room feels it before you even say a word. When you walk in and you have that authority, when you know your mission better than anyone else, you know the direction. And the thing is, a lot of times when we're looking for this correlation, or not correlation, we're looking for consensus or collaboration. Your team doesn't have the information or the purview that you do. There's information that's unique to you. And so sometimes they need you to make that decision and then allow them to run with it. And so the other ways it looks like you say no when the mission requires it, not when you finally feel brave enough to, or when you want to stop protecting something. Your team stops routing everything back to you because you stopped leaving room for doubt, and you're not performing the role anymore. You are the role. So you don't have to worry about how John will take this, or Susan will, some of the pushback you'll get from her. You can own the role and then allow them to own theirs. And here's what I love about this is the moment does not usually come from a big dramatic breakthrough. It is a quiet decision you make. I am already the authority. I'm already this, and it's time to lead like it. I did not find my authority standing in that briefing room. I just finally stopped shrinking from it. I stopped believing that because they outranked me, they knew best, or they had more information. It's no, I needed to own my authority in that moment, and they needed me to as well. And the same as your team needs you as well to do that. And so I finally stopped shrinking from it, and it's just the same for you. So you get to own it. The crazy thing is when you do, your people will start taking ownership as well. So here's what I want to leave you with, because you're not behind, you're not broken, you're a highly capable leader who's been operating below what you are. And the gap is not a character flaw. It's just a misalignment, and misalignments are fixable. And this is literally what I do. But if this episode hits something for you that you've been carrying for a while, don't just sit there. There's a link in the show notes. Like, let's talk. Let's have a chat. Let's look at what your leadership could be when you own your operating system, when you own the level that you are, and you stop second guessing. When we start looking at how do you make decisions, and what is the foundation you decide from. So before you go, again, I want to encourage you that if this resonates at all, that this private audio series that I created, The Invisible Weight, Why Leadership Feels Harder Than It Should, it's not a course, it's a private conversation just between you and I, and the kind that helps you understand exactly what is running your leadership right now and what to do about it. Leaders who have gone through it they don't describe it as something they just listen to. They describe it as something that they felt. So the link is in the show notes. Go there first. After this, we're almost done here. Then you can go there right now. And if this episode gave you something worth keeping, subscribe so you never miss what's next. And if you're willing, leave me a rating and review. It just takes 2 minutes, and it puts the conversation in front of other leaders who need it most. So with that, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.